Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to flip the whole idea of success on its head. We're talking about a playbook that starts with a really weird goal: get rejected every single day. I know, it sounds totally backward, right? I mean, who wants to fail? But what if? What if the secret to breaking through your biggest fears, to really unlocking what you're capable of, wasn't about winning all the time? What if it was about deliberately, actively going out and looking for rejection? So, this whole idea isn't just a theory. It comes from this really powerful mental experiment that completely reshaped the life of a Y Combinator founder named Allen Naliath. Back when he was at Stanford, he gave himself this challenge, and it was pretty simple. For a whole month, his only job was to get told no every single day. Okay, so the rules for this are so simple, but they're also kind of profound. Step 1, you've got to ask for something every single day. Step 2, your goal is actually to hear no. That's the win. And step 3, this is the kicker. If you actually get a yes, you've failed the challenge for the day. Yeah, you heard that right. Getting what you want means you lose. It just completely turns the whole concept of success upside down. And what's so cool about this is what it does to your brain. This simple little challenge, it fundamentally rewires how you respond to fear, to failure. It's not just a game, It's like a full-on psychological reset. Just think about that mental shift for a second. Before, no is this painful thing you avoid at all costs, right? Your success, your happiness, it's all in someone else's hands. But after the challenge, no is a win. No is what you're looking for. Success now depends only on your action, on you having the guts to ask. The only way to actually fail is to not even try. Suddenly, you're empowered by your own actions, not by the outcome. And through this whole process, Allen basically trained himself to listen for that little voice of hesitation in his head. You know the one that says, don't do it, you'll look stupid, or they're just going to say no. Well, he learned to hear that voice, and instead of seeing it as a stop sign, he started seeing it as a bright green light. That feeling of fear, that became his trigger, his cue to go. And this is where it gets really interesting. Because this wasn't just some abstract thought experiment for him. No way. He started applying this new rejection-proof mindset to everything, especially his journey as a founder at Stanford. So check this out. The CEO of Y Combinator, a guy named Gary Tan, comes to speak at Stanford. And Allen's brain immediately goes, it'd be nice to sit with him, but nah, I shouldn't do it. And right then he catches himself. He's like, there it is, that's the voice. So what does he do? He does the opposite. He walks right up, sits next to him, strikes up a conversation, and that single interaction ended up opening some major doors for him down the line. And he started seeing this principle pop up everywhere. Like, he tried to start this casual club for student founders, and literally 4 people showed up. Total flop. But then he tried again, only this time he made it seem exclusive, secret, like you had to be in the know. And what happened? He got 600 applications. It taught him a huge lesson about how to design things people actually react to. Now, let's be clear. This mindset doesn't make you invincible. Not at all. Because when Allen and his co-founder finally got their big shot to pitch Y Combinator, we're talking the biggest startup accelerator in the world, it was a total disaster. He completely froze up, stuttered. He said it was just so bad. But then something pretty rare happened. YC gave them a second chance, a second interview just a few days later. This was it. This was his moment to prove that he wasn't just someone who could face failure, but someone who could learn from it, and learn from it fast. And in those few days, they completely pivoted their entire approach. They stopped acting like just a couple of founders with an idea and started acting like scientists. They dug deep into their user data. They formed a testable hypothesis, they collected evidence, and they came back presenting this deliberate, thought-through process. And this time, it worked. They got in. Okay, so he's in YC. Amazing, right? But this victory lap came with the ultimate test of his whole philosophy. He was staring down 2 paths: the safe one, finishing his degree at Stanford, and the incredibly risky one, dropping out to go all in on his company. And he kept thinking about this piece of advice he got from another founder. If you have no plan B, plan A is forced to work. Think about that. His Stanford degree, that was his plan B. That was his safety net. But sometimes the safety net is the very thing that keeps you from really, truly committing. He knew if he was going to make this work, he had to burn the boats. So he used this simple framework to make the final call: the gut versus the brain. His brain, the logical part, was screaming at him, stay in school. It's the safe route. It's calculating all the risk. But his gut, his intuition, it just sensed that the right path was the scary one, the YC opportunity. And the rule he came up with is simple. When your brain and your gut are telling you two different things, you gotta trust your gut.
So let's bring this all together. How does Allen's whole journey turn into a playbook that you and I can actually use? What are the big takeaways here?
It really boils down to four main ideas. First, you've got to seek rejection to kill your fear. Just go out there and get used to the word no. Second, learn by necessity. Focus on what you need to know to solve the problem right in front of you. Third, build an audience. Put your ideas out into the world, because that's how opportunity finds you. And last but not least, trust your gut over your brain, especially when it's pointing you down a path that feels right, even if it's a little scary.
When you look at Allen's story, the main lesson is pretty clear. The biggest risk you can take isn't actually failing. It's being so terrified of hearing the word no that you never even ask the question in the first place. So I'll leave you with this. What no are you going to go seek out today?